Hi, so welcome to Pursue Truth. Sorry for doing another faceless podcast or video or whatever these things are. But I find it easier because then I can walk up and down. And so this one is about Aleena's Help Letter. I was watching Sky News the other day and they had this health minister. I feel I've already talked about this, feeling a bit deja vu. I've already mentioned this. And I didn't know there was a health minister. Maybe it was when I'm practicing. Sometimes I practice these things in my head. Health minister. I didn't know there was a health minister. I thought there was just a Department of Secretary. Department of Secretary. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with me? Department of Education. No, Secretary of State for Education. That's the one. Yeah, so I only thought there was him. I didn't know they had a health minister as well. And then when I was looking up online, I found there's like 4 or 5 of them. So the one that was there, he was for, post 16 or whatever. So I couldn't mention to him. But I found 3 other people. There's Nick Gibb, who's a Minister of State for Schools. And it mentioned, I think, SEND on his. Claire Gutenho. Sounds a bit Portuguese. MP is Parliament for Under Secretary of State for Children's, Families and Wellbeing. And then the Baron MBE, Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for the School System and Student Finance. The top 2, I got responses, their automatic email response from the Baroness. I didn't get anything from her. She maybe not set up an auto response. I doubt anything will come of it, and they'll probably just go back and say, well, the Department of Education have already answered this question, and look at all the great things that we're doing. Here's some more great things we're doing. We're not actually going to answer any of your points. So I doubt there will come anything of this. Most of the people I sent it to, I think actually no one replied, because I remember I sent it to Rishi Sunak, his one's bounced back, but I sent it through my MP to his office, cabinet office. Nothing came back from that. Also, she sent it to, it wasn't Steve Bark, was it the other one, whoever the Secretary of State of Education is, forgotten his name, or her name. That never came back from there. The Department of Education, they came back, obviously, the East Sussex County Council came back, basically telling me all the great things they were doing, not really answering any of my points, but acknowledging that I made them. Yeah. Democracy at its best, yeah? Power the people. This is why you elect people to do the work for you. See how it doesn't work. Anyway, so yeah, nothing's really come of it. I thought, because I saw this thing, I thought, well, let me just send it to these 3, see if it makes any difference. Maybe they will do something about it because they have positions within the field of SEND and finance and that kind of thing. Maybe they will be able to do something about it. And then I've been thinking about like sending to the Eastbourne MP a question for PMQs. I've sent it on Friday. I didn't get any response from her email either, like the automatic one. So I don't know. Maybe they just ban me now because they don't want to make any change. No, I'm just joking. So I don't know whether that's going to get done. Can I read the question out? I might be able to read it out for you here. Hopefully this doesn't stop this. Where is it? Caroline Ansell MP. So the question I want her to ask the Prime Minister is, my constituent's 5-year-old daughter, Aleena, who is autistic, neurodivergent in brackets, has had to wait a year for adequate funding due to the graduated approach, which takes 4 terms, and EHC plan, which takes minimum 3 terms, whereas adequate funding for neurotypicals is on day 1. Can the Prime Minister ask the Education Department to look into reassessing the time frame for the graduated approach and EHC plan so that neurodivergence funding is also on day 1, as this is verging on indirect inequality, to put it politely? There you go. She's not going to ask it, is it? I don't think so. She's probably going to come back and say, well, I can't possibly ask the Prime Minister that. I don't believe it for the start. But I'm asking the question. I want you to ask my question to him. I'm not, I don't know. So I suspect she's not going to ask it. She probably just won't reply back to me. That's what most people do on emails, isn't it? Just blank you, ghost you, whatever it's called now. But I'm hoping I expect she will reply back to me. It's probably going to be a negative answer. But it would be great if she did pluck up the courage and ask the question for all those SEND children, all those neurodivergents who are not getting funding on day one. Because there was a newsletter that came that she has printed for herself about all the things that she does, pictures of her meeting people around East Sussex. She championed a case to do with education. I think it was a child with cancer who wasn't allowed to take GCSEs, and she championed it and managed to get them to give her GCSE results based on looking at her work that she'd done. So, she seems to show care for children and these concerns. So I'm hoping that, because I'm sure she's noticed from the emails that I've sent her, I'm not getting much luck out of trying to change this or make people admit that there is some problem here that needs looking at. I mean, that's all I want. Someone to say, oh yeah, wow, this is your experience, this isn't right, let's have a look at it and see if this does make sense, that for children who need help straight away, that they have to wait a year. How does that make sense? You're not creating a problem, you're exacerbating a problem by pretending that you have a process in place that is dealing with it, but it's just face value. It doesn't really deal with it, because actually it makes them wait longer. Because that's the experience. I've experienced it. This is the first time I've experienced it. And it doesn't make sense, because that neurodivergent children, SEND children, someone who's already been diagnosed autistic before nursery is going to need extra funding, extra help. So let's do it at day one. Let's do it as early as possible. Let's make it as streamlined, as quick as possible, and not a process that takes a year, 4 months, four terms out of 6 to do, and then 2 to 3 terms to do the ETX plan, which basically looks like the AMP plan that we've been failing for the first 4 terms. All that really is going to make a difference is the funding, and that should be, you should be able to do that AMP at the beginning, and if it's failed, then that's when they should start looking at money. But I know this is all about money, and that's why the school and why the LA, they don't want to do this, and why they prefer to have this process in, because they're hoping people to drop off, or they're hoping that the big specialists, the educational psychologists, don't know anything about running a school, can come up with something that then means that, well, they don't have to do it, or they fail the EHC, so they don't get it. Anything not to actually spend the money. I know, but that's the problem. Well, why are we living in a system? The problem is there's not enough money to do everything. Well, why do we have money then? Why are we shackling ourselves with this idea? Because that makes no sense. You're making everyone suffer because you want to have a system thousands of years old that actually doesn't benefit humanity. Even children work this out when they're young. But we grow out of it because we get taught, well, this is the only way, this is how it is. Well, it doesn't have to be this way, because we have freedom to change it. Take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.